good Monday night, everybody. Chris McDonald with you. Grateful to get another week started. We're grateful to see everybody. We got election night coming up tomorrow night, and we'll have special late night coverage here on the show. And Monday nights, we always sort of go several different directions, but we didn't have this beautiful lady on last week, but we got her tonight. Leslie Milwee's with me in the house, and the future co-host of the Mac and Milwee Spotify Apple show one day soon. Hopefully, we're going to work on that this summer. Hey, it's good to see you tonight, and my goodness, what in the world? We got so much going on we're going to talk about. I want to start out asking you about what you think about Tina Peters tonight. She got released from that Colorado jail. She's the lady, for those that don't know, that got arrested by this rogue attorney general in Colorado over, they claimed that she was interfering with elections, Leslie, which was a joke. And what she was trying to do was bring basically attention to the fraud that was going on in Colorado. And because of pressure by President Trump, the governor there, which is a Democrat of all people, he finally caved in this week and let her free. And I just think that she's coming out with the dead bodies. I think that
yes, she is.
What do you think about that? I think that she's about to reveal some dead bodies in the Colorado voting system. Is she not?
I hope she does, and I hope she is well compensated. I won't say by money, but her allegiance will be recognized. I have no doubt Trump will do that. I'm surprised it took a while, and I hope she overturns every rock out there. I mean, Colorado, Georgia, California, New York, these are not the only states that have voter fraud issues. I think you could probably go to every blue state and find a lot of things. And I don't even consider Georgia a blue state by any stretch, but it's turning purple, and that's sad since we have so much rides on that, but we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it'll flip back more red like it has always been.
I've always said that if you got rid of all the voter fraud in this country and you just had a straight up election, just straight up, no cheating, no mail-in ballots, vote the day you're supposed to vote, polls close at 8 o'clock, you tally the votes that we got at 8, that's it. We don't tally votes in the middle of the night. We get the vote. It's required that you get the tally done by 11 o'clock. The way I look at it, if American Idol can tally 65, almost 100 million votes in about 10 minutes, I think that we can tally a few million votes in our voting systems. Just a thought. But
Absolutely.
I think that the Republican Party, I think those that are on conservative tickets would win straight up a majority of those states. Now, I'm not saying we'd win every one of them, but I do believe that you'd see a different landscape, and I think that people would feel more comfortable, especially on the right. It's only on the left, Leslie, that they care about cheating, and that's the only way they can win. That's the only way they can win.
Well, we know that's the case in several states. I mean, going back to what they said, Trump said about, I need you to find these votes. I did not see that in any way as trying to coerce or try to get somebody, to do something. He was simply stating a fact. Hey, this does not sound right. Will you please, see what you can find out? And I think we've just done a great disservice to voters when we do that. And I agree with you. I feel so strongly. I would make it a national holiday. Of course, you'd have to pick and choose our, county elections. Is it only state elections? Is it national elections? You get the day off. You make your vote. There are very few mail-in ballots due to elderly and disabled, and those have to be documented just like a sticker on your car for being handicapped. It should be those same kinds of rules that are very strict and easy to verify. Everything else needs to go away. This early voting, of course, it was out of control in 2020, but it did get better, which I think is proof that the elections were not fair in 2020. I think what happened in 24 confirms that, especially in Georgia. And a few other places. To me, that's confirmation.
I'm with you. And speaking of Georgia, I think me and you were on the air. That we had a panel that night in 2020. I know we were on the air in 22 with the midterms. Definitely we're on the air together in 24. But
Yeah,
I remember us having a panel, going to bed. Trump was up like 60 to 70,000 votes in Georgia. And we get up the next morning after supposedly Fulton County, which is the county seat. It is the biggest county in the state. It's Atlanta, DeKalb County, Fulton County. I grew up there. I was born and raised there. And they claimed that a water main broke, so they had to shut the voting polls down and stop counting at midnight. And we're just believed that 6 hours later that we get up and Trump went up from being up 70 or 60. I don't know how good it was. It was several tens of thousands of votes.
it was substantial. Yeah,
substantial. That Joe Biden, all of a sudden, they found 100,000 votes, all for Biden, none for Trump. And all of a sudden, Trump wins the state by 10,000. And then they take till December the 15th to certify it after drawing this out. And Leslie, again, it would take a buffoon not to believe that was done with malicious intent. And then Ratzenberger, the Secretary of State, refused to even investigate it. And if I'd have been Trump, I'd have asked him the same thing. Go find me the votes. Find me what happened to those votes. What happened?
Yeah.
That's what he was asking. And then he got indicted. He got charged with it. Rudy Giuliani got charged with it. Sidney Powell got charged with RICO. And then Jenna, I can't think of her name. She turned on Trump because she got indicted and she turned tail and ran like a coward. And then we find out later that, again, that Fani Willis all this was concocted by the Biden White House to get Trump out of the way, and so forth. But what I'm saying is that we have got to get this SAVE Act passed, because what people may not realize tonight, this SAVE Act eliminates the mail-in ballot situation a great deal. It eliminates voting after voting day. It eliminates this after 8 o'clock, polls staying open a little bit later just to get a few extra votes in. You can't do that. There's voter integrity, and there's monitors. There's going to be guardrails in place about mail-in voting. And it seems like the Supreme Court has got this case in front of it. And we may have talked about this last time we talked, but it's huge. And
it is.
Basically what it is saying that if they rule in favor of the conservatives, then again, if you don't have your vote in by voting day, this is not voting month. We have an election day, not an election week, an election month. You have to have your vote in, and it puts guardrails on people to count the votes. And I go back and say what I said a while ago. If American Idol can tally over 100 million votes in about 5 minutes, what in the world are we doing in these blue states that we can't get election results in by 11? And what's your thoughts on that? I got something to say about that, about 24, because it's amazing they got it done in 24 when they didn't have enough to cheat, didn't they?
Well, you're absolutely right on that. I would add a little bit to that in the fact that I think these blue states that can't get them tallied, it seems like it's always them, and it's always the people that are incompetent. Is there some snafu? Maybe, but I think it just goes to the incompetence of the people that run those parties for those cities and states. And then when you take that and you cheat on top of that, yeah, you're able to find 100,000 votes at 4 a.m. All those things, I still haven't heard about the suitcase lady lately. The one that carried in all the suitcases at 2:30 in the morning. I mean, let's talk about that. How many tens of thousands of votes could you put in that? And, and why are we not hearing about that? Because the mainstream media is never, ever going to talk about that, ever.
You're not going to hear about the suitcase lady no more than you're going to hear about the fruitcake lady or anybody other cake lady, because they don't want they want that to go away. But look, I think Tina Peters and somebody mentioned that they've seen. I saw the first interview this morning. She was on Bannon's program. I'm not a big fan of Bannon, but I do believe that she has got a lot of knowledge of how they did this stuff nationally, and I think she holds a big key And again, if I'm John Thune and you're listening to me tonight, I would take a lot of notes on what happened last Tuesday night in this country. We're not happy with you, and
No.
if we could get 5 senators with something between their legs, beside their brains, then we could possibly get 5 senators to come out and say we need new leadership in the Senate, kill the filibuster, pass the SAVE Act, and you would see something happen in the midterms. These Dems, they're already in panic with these redistricting maps. They would go into full-blown meltdown. Over this election.
Yeah, they would. They would, and that is what needs to happen. I hope John Thune really does understand that, because he's a heartbeat away from getting kicked out when people wake up and do something. And I have to believe there are 5 people that would do that. Is this being kind of put on the back burner until Trump sees what some of these the outcome and everything is? He must feel pretty confident after last Tuesday and the Tuesday before that. I mean, it was mind blowing how well. I mean, what is he, like 119-0 for endorsements?
119-0. Yeah, he's not one crazy endorsement he put out. That's a lot. It's not like he did half and half. This was 100%. 119 candidates he endorsed, all won, and that's unreal.
I think that if that shows nothing else, it truly it really lets us know the power and the intelligence that he has behind all these pieces. He's always 2 steps ahead on the chessboard. And the filibuster, I think I hate that it's going to go away, because I think it does give the non-ruling party just a little bit of cushion to maybe possibly get things to work. But while you've got Democrats that are so incredibly left-wing, with the exception of Fetterman, you are never, ever going to pass anything without the filibuster. Let's be honest. And they're going to do it day one on January 21st. Of 28, if they're in charge, the filibuster, or even in the midterms, is going to go away. So we know that. I don't think we should hide under a rock like we're so great at doing and just pretend that we're the good guys and we always are trying to do the moral and ethical thing. And while I believe that's vital and of the most importance, I also believe you have to fight fire with fire. And that's what we've got to do.
Well, with this bunch, you better, because this is as radical a party I've seen in my lifetime. And, I was talking to my dear friend Amy Miller earlier tonight, and we were talking about this very fact that, Leslie, what bothers me with these candidates that the Dems are putting out, you cannot tell me that if this is what they want to be the face of their party, this Plattner up in Maine.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
Karen Bass in L.A., they want to put her back in mayor of L.A. for 4 more years. You've got this nut job. You've got all these socialists, and I look at Mondami. People in New York are all of a sudden complaining about the conditions there, and I just want to look at them and, in a McDonald Southern way, shake a nod in them and say, well, why did you vote for him to begin with? You knew good and well this was what was coming. He said he was going to do this. So what was you on meth? Was you on drugs when you went in that voting booth? Was you meth induced when you pulled that lever? This is what kills me with people in general. We don't do our job. We don't vote. We vote for leftist candidates. We vote for this stuff, and then we scream bloody murder when these leftists do exactly what they say they're going to do and destroy our cities and our families and our towns and our rights. And then all of a sudden we run to the hills. Well, we need to get some common sense and go vote right. And I'm not talking about political direction. I'm talking about righteousness, and I'm talking about vote with common sense and vote for somebody that's not going to destroy your city, state, or country. And we don't have any of that in the electorate tonight. That scares me.
Well, this is the result of 20 plus years of psycho left-wing media that has totally taken over. We have such a small part in media. Yes, we have tens of millions of listeners and people that understand that. But, you know, if you watch FBI or CIA or NCIS, you're going to probably flip on and you're going to hear some of the national propaganda at some point. And we're just indoctrinated to this. And this is what continues to happen. We're seeing the result of all of this hatred in media. I was reading online before you called about the two nurses. These are two nurses that say they're going to hop in their car and effing kill Trump, and they're going to effing do that. I mean, just unbelievable. If we had said that about Obama, we would be having daylight pumped to us still to this day. And, you know, there really seems to be no major repercussions from that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all of this will get worked out. But I have to believe Trump's got a team on it. But I listen to Dan Bongino every morning, too. And he just like, you just don't understand the level of the deep state in this country.
Well, and go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think we deal with that. I think that's another huge factor.
Yeah, I'll agree. Well, and Terrico is who I was trying to think about. You've got this nutcase in Texas that's running as a Democrat and telling everybody, well, I really didn't say this. I didn't say God was binary. I didn't say there were 6 genders. I didn't say that we're going to do away with meat, that it's causing climate change issues. I mean, this is as crazy left as it gets. But yet, again, why would the Dems put somebody like that? I don't want to belabor this because I got a lot of other fish to fry with you tonight. But I will say this, if this is the way the Democrat Party wants to go, far be it from me to stop them from committing political suicide. Go right on down that cliff, keep putting these crazy candidates out there. But what does bother me is, and it scares me a little bit, is that a lot of these left-wing candidates, Leslie, are polling very well, even not so much among independents, but that left-wing radical base of the Dems is growing. And I don't know if it's coming from the young people. I don't know if it's coming from these middle-aged yuppies. But that left-wing loon base of the Dems is growing. It's grown over the last 5 to 10 years, hasn't it not?
Oh, absolutely, because I think it's that propaganda that continues to it's sewage in our brains every day, all day. That's what people hear. And you have to make an effort to go outside of that and get real news. And let's face it, we've got an awful lot of low information voters. They hear, 2 sound bites that somebody said, and oh, wow, a grocery store that's run by the city that's going to be cheap. I love that idea. It's just little bits and pieces like that they are able to internalize and think is a good thing. They don't do their homework. And we've talked about this. You and I consume news all day, every day, 10 hours a day. We're probably doing something to do with looking up news and following news. People don't do that. They're busy. They're moms and dads. They have to cook dinner. They get what snippets of information they can. And I've even gotten aggravated lately with Fox News. Not that they don't have a whole host of people that are relatively conservative. I think they have some real sleeper people in there. I mean, Jessica Tarloff is a no-brainer. But I think they have some real issues with some people that are getting to the point they're not even neutral anymore. They're taking another side. And I find that so offensive. I'm like, you are not going to infiltrate one of the best sources we have. I've been watching a lot of Newsmax because I know where all of them stand without a doubt. So, I go to Breitbart. We used to have Drudge Report. That's a joke now.
Yeah.
And we just don't have the sources, the people that really understand what's going on, and people don't have time to do it. So I guess that's the $64,000 question. How do we get these low information voters to become more educated? How do we do that?
I don't think you can. I think that is Look, I say this as a pastor, but I say this as a citizen. I say it as a talk show host. I say it as a um, person that just sort of looks over the landscape, and I listen to people and I talk to people just like you do every day. And you're right, I do read the news and I see some of I just look at the comments sometimes. The comments on some of these news stories are more telling than the news itself. I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's scary.
I'm just going to be honest with you, Millie. I'm concerned about this country because I'm telling you something, we got some people. And again, maybe McDonald's is a little nutty too. So I'm not saying that I'm not a little nuts myself. But we just got some plain people that are just plain blank crazy. Okay? And they have got a darkened mind and a darkened heart. And the way they look at this world and the way they look at society and the way they view the world, I'm telling you, and it doesn't surprise me that somebody like a Mandami or somebody like a Terrico, somebody like a Plattner can get in their head and convince them that they're pulling for them. And it's also, you think about what happened in the midterms this past November, or these elections with this governor up in Virginia, the governor of New Jersey, and this the way
Mikey Sherrill and
Spoolbarger. I mean, look, they are the most radical females in the universe, but yet two of the now Virginia was sort of purple, but New Jersey was blue. But they had a good chance to get rid of a blue governor, and that shifts me to what's going to happen tomorrow night, because we got a huge election coming up tomorrow in California, which is a blue state. It's probably red out in the rural parts of the country or the state, but the big cities of LA, San Francisco, San Diego, Sacramento, truth of the matter is there is a big power hub of liberalism in those states, and they control the state. But LA is electing a mayor. California is electing a governor. I want to talk about the mayor's race first with you. Some of the latest polling shows that Spencer Pratt, he's running as a Republican, he is surging in the polls. Now, as of tonight, there are some polls that have him even leading Karen Bass. There are some that he's number 2, and it's about a 30 to 25, 31, 29 split with the vote, and then the other Noodles character, that's what Waters called her, Noodles. But Noodles is running about a third. But the fact of the matter is that if whoever don't get 51% tomorrow night, they'll have a runoff. And then that's going to pit probably Pratt against Bass in a one-on-one. And that's going to really get interesting because there's 12% of the vote that's going to his other Gallego, the Republican, the sheriff. And
Chad Bianco.
Bianco. And whether that's going to be enough to keep, Spencer Pratt, winning, I don't know. But I do believe he can get in a runoff with Bass. It would be great if he would surge to 51. But I think the realism is, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I know that in the country in general, there are enough Christians in this country, if they were to vote right, vote when they need to, make it a habit of always going to vote. We'd never have a Democrat leader in about 50 years. The problem is turnout.
Yeah,
and it's
especially in midterms.
In these kind of elections, it's going to depend on turnout. I cannot believe, and I'll get your opinion, I cannot believe that L.A. would look at Karen Bass after what happened with these Palisades fires, what's happened with this corruption, what's the direction the leadership is going right now, and look into the abyss of their soul and say, we want to have 4 more years of this. I can't believe that. But yet she's leading in many polls, and again, she's running a close second to Pratt and others. He is surging, but Leslie, the bottom line is it comes down to the voter. I love this ass. I love this kid. I'm pulling for him.
I do too.
I think the country, conservatives all over this country tonight, we're pulling for him. But my dear friend Lori Mills, who I hated, couldn't have her on tonight, and she's not going to be with us tomorrow night either. I'm hoping to get her on soon. We're trying our best to get her, but she's been busy. But she told me that they have already announced they're going to take a month to count these votes. And you and I both know that if they're going to take a month to count them, Spencer Pratt don't have a prayer where the sun don't shine.
No.
He just don't.
No. And, that is probably them seeing the writing on the wall and thinking, what can we do to manipulate this in some way? Because, like you said on the American Idol votes, you can count those. There's no reason not to. It should be down to Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt. And I think when people have to look at the facts, yes, there are an overwhelming amount of Democrats. But guess what? Some of those Democrats are going to be secret voters that they're not going to tell anyone, and they're going to go in and vote for him. And I think that's, absolutely. I believe that with all my heart. I believe that LA is such a toxic place that unless you truly are left, which is most people, you don't dare say a word otherwise. You wouldn't have a job. You wouldn't have any support. You would lose your livelihood. And these people know that they can go in there secretly and vote. I mean, the wonderful beauty of, American voting rights. I hope that's what happens. I hope there's a lot of underground voters that we're not aware of. I don't know about you. I've been polled a few times and I've never told the truth. I thought, how dare you ask me what I'm going to do?
We always suspected things about you already. All right, she's let the cat out of the bag. I'm messing with you. No, I get it. I get it.
I find those polls so ridiculous sometimes, and usually they are not correct. There are very few.
Very true. No, that's very true.
Pollsters that ever get it right. So I don't know why we
let me
put
interrupt
that.
you real quick. Let me ask you this then: if the polls are not telling us what's going to happen tomorrow, what's your gut? Do you really believe? Because I think this kid has lit a fire, and that debate alone, like if you take everything out of the equation, and if the LA voters simply look at that debate between him, Bass, and Noodles, okay, Spencer Pratt wiped the floor with them 90-10. I'm telling you, I think 90% of LAans, the Angelinos, looked at that debate and said, "Holy smokes, we've got a chance to get a leader."
Absolutely. Well, how can you really be supportive of Karen Bass? She has done nothing right. The city is in shambles. There's more homeless. There's fires. There's fires burning right now. I mean, the reservoirs are empty. There's no water. This is not a secret in California. Guess what? We had this where I lived in Southern California. It's not a big secret or surprise. There are fires and water is needed. And it's something that's hammered on Californians all the time. So this blows me away that people would give her a pass on that. That's the main thing. But yeah, let's clean up the city. I mean, he's not saying radical things. He's not saying I'm going to go so right wing on this or this. Nothing he says is right wing. It's all common sense.
And that's the thing.
But it's not right.
Exactly. He's not a raging Republican. He's not a raging MAGA. He's not a raging conservative. President Trump has got his back in him. Trump's backing him. But when you listen to Spencer Pratt, it's a lot of common sense. And Leslie, I think it's what we elected Trump about. I think Trump was like this. It's not like that Trump came on the scene saying anything more than what most Americans were thinking. And when I was listening to Pratt that night on that debate, I was like, kid, I agree with 80. I mean, me and him may not agree on, if we got in a discussion about faith, we probably wouldn't agree on 10 things. But I tell you what, may not agree on 2 things. I agreed with him 100% of what I heard in that debate stage that night with what he would do with LA, because we need some of those things done for the country. We need to clean this country up.
Absolutely. And as they always say, as California goes, so goes the country. So if this is what you want let's face it, all the major cities already look like this. Chicago's a cesspool, San Francisco, and New York City. I mean, we could go on and on. Those are all places that have miserably failed, yet people continue to support them. But the huge amount of people that are exiting California, I mean, when does that come into place? People can't live there. They can't afford to live there. And I think that may speak to more people, both rich and poor, both actors and non-actors, for just common sense. Hey, I want my town and my city to be beautiful. I want to have a safe city. I don't want to walk on needles. I want to have water when there's a fire. Right. I mean, it's just normal stuff. And if anybody is being honest with themselves and they are left-wingers, I hope they'll, it's like I told my husband the other night, you know what? If John Fetterman could convince me on some things that I totally disagree with him on, but if he could at least have a reasonable conversation with me, I would listen to him. But these people can't do that. You don't have to agree on everything, but my goodness, look through the lens of what's good for your family and for you. I mean, isn't that what's important?
Well, it should be, Leslie, and sadly, again, it goes back to the voter. It goes back to this electorate that we've got tonight. And again, to me and you, and most reasonably thinking people that's in this audience tonight, those things are important. But you're dealing with an element in this country right now that in my lifetime, my dad, look, I will say this about my dad. My mom died 20 plus years ago. We were beginning to see some of the rise of this. But when my dad died 5 years ago, I remember sitting with him one day, and he was so irritated. I watched him. He was irritated watching the news, and he just took that turner and he flipped it off real quick and threw the remote down. I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "I just can't watch this stuff." And he made a statement to me. He said, "Chris," he said, "my generation," he said, "son," he said, "your generation has sort of been the linchpin of it." But he said, my generation, he said, "we can't stomach to see what's happening in this country." He said, "I can't," he said, "I didn't grow up like this. I wasn't raised on these kind of things, this value, this transgender, LGBTQ, corruption, open border, media lying and doing all this." He said, "We just didn't have this." And he said, the Republican Party, he said, actually, the Democrats of the 70s are the Republicans of today. He said, we didn't have a mega party. He said, the Democrats had some common sense. He said, this extreme fascist communist takeover of the country, he said, we didn't have, we worried about communism, but we didn't worry about it within. Russia was the big threat. The Soviet Union was the big devil. And he said, we fought Vietnam over it. We fought Cambodia over it. We fought Korea over it. And he said those conflicts was about removing fascism and communism from Southeast Asia. And we lost a lot of men to it, a good number of men. But he said, I'm seeing my country die inwardly. He said, these things are in our government now and in our leaders. And he told me, he said, it's frustrating. And I watched my dad at the end get very frustrated. And I think, Leslie, that's a lot of people tonight. I think that's a lot of us. And it should matter. But I don't think to many voters it does. I don't think this country understands the enemy within our gates that's getting ready to take over. And again, they keep putting these radical candidates out there. The more the Democrats run for office, the more radical they become. It's going on right now. I didn't mean to take all your time. Keep going.
No. I was just going to say, getting back to, I was really analyzing this the other night. I'm like, why have these people gone so, bonkers? And one thing I think that's happened in the last year and a half is with all the ICE going in and getting these illegal aliens and keeping the Minnesotas, these things in the forefront every single day of the news. It makes people that believe that people, that there are no borders and I wouldn't say a lot of Hispanic votes, but some. They want their family to come over.
Right.
They're hard workers, that no one disputes that, but it skews our labor market by causing, wages to be off. So all these things have a consequence, but I think they have really kept this in the forefront because I think this makes people have hate. I think it makes us out to be, we're these evil people that are allowing children to die. We're not feeding people. We're Auschwitz with our facilities. We're taking people that don't have a criminal record. Well, I got news for you. If you cross the border illegally, you have a criminal you have a felony on your hands. So I'm sorry. I know I was born in the greatest country in the whole world. I won the lottery of life. I know that. And I want a path for people that are not criminals that want to be here and want to participate. But I want them to pay taxes. I don't want them to get paid under the table. I don't want them to come here illegally with no background checks. I mean, these are, again, common sense things. But I think that has stirred the hate up in people. I think a huge part of it is, look, Orange Man bad, look what he's doing. He's killing people. Well, and I really believe some people feel that way.
It's not just Orange Man bad. We've got a story out of Gateway Pundit tonight that Paul Krugman, the former liberal nutwing of the New York Times, was out there podcasting today, and he said that we need to demeganize the country. We need to purge this country of anybody that supports the MAGA movement. Leslie, It's not just Orange Man bad. It goes back to what Trump warned us. He told us this in his first term. He said the real people that they want are you. He was speaking to his followers. The MAGA people, conservatives that believe in conservatism, that believe in lawfulness, believe in closed borders, do not believe in corruption in government. They believe there's two genders. They believe men should not be in women's sports. They have a very godly outlook on society. They understand faith. They're faith people. They go to church. They worship the Lord. And he believes that the country needs to be purged of such. So it's not just Trump. He's just standing in the way. And I think people better understand that out there tonight, that they're coming for us. It's not just Trump. Trump's not just the bad red man. Bad Orange Man is bad. No, it's us that they think is bad. And they think we stand in the way of their utopia of socialism and their utopia of communism, and that we'll all just get along. I heard Juan Williams tonight complaining about how that the country is so divided this 250th anniversary compared to 1776. And that, we all got along. Well, we didn't have a liberal media that was raging and lying to it like we do now. We don't have a left-wing Democrat Party that's lying to it, and senators, then representatives that are corrupt, and Muslims and fascists and things like that. And I shouldn't say Muslims, but this fascist movement of Islam. And again, we don't demonize these people, but Leslie, they're wanting a way of life that we as Americans did not die for and be free for, because we died in the Revolutionary War trying to be free of fascism and tyranny.
I know, and high taxes, and all of these things are happening now, and they're coming from the left, and. How do you fight a nonstop 24/7 vomiting of lies? I don't know. I guess we just have to keep plowing away and trying to educate people. And I'm so disappointed with some of these really popular people that have gone by the wayside. They're so lost. They're so out of whack with reality. I don't know how that happens like that. I don't understand it. And I'm sad because I think we, the people, are the ones that, while I don't have to agree with everything they say, I always took their opinion as valid, or at least I would give it thought. We are so lost now. I think we're fighting ourselves. There's no question there's a huge gap in the Democratic Party, but there's also one in the Republicans, because we're fighting the rhinos.
We're fighting the rhinos,
Yeah.
Leslie, and the Republicans are
every
worse
day.
to me. I've always said it. I would rather you just, if you're going to stab me if you're going to stab me, do it in the front. Don't do it in the back. Don't be a scumbag. In other words, don't tell me to my face that you're my friend, and then go behind my back and do the things you do. At least you be a man about it and do it in my front. And the Republicans don't do that. They tell everybody out here that they're fighting for us, that they're up there working for the American people. Do you realize that John Thune has had the least amount of legislation in his time passed in Trump's second term than any Congress ever in the history of this republic has passed the fewest laws since President Trump has been back in office than this one right now. And
he's a joke. He's a joke. He's got to go.
That's not the Dems.
Yeah.
That's not the Dems. That's the Republicans. And it is pathetic. Want to move on to something. I got my opinion about it. My illustrious representative, Tim Burchett, who I actually met, and he's my neighbor here in Knoxville, and he was on Hannity tonight, and I follow his X account. I've met him back in COVID time, and Tim's a good guy. But he is convinced he believes that the alien files need to be released. And I need my X-Files music. I used to like the X-Files with David Duchovny. And the truth is out there. Remember that? Him and Scully?
Oh, absolutely.
And, but anyway, there is a push on tonight to release these files that evidently are going to tell us that there is intelligent life out there. And I gotta say something about the intelligent life. The way that we know that intelligent life exists out there is that they've never tried to contact us. Okay? That's right. Why they're intelligent. What's your thoughts on all that? That was supposed to be a joke, Millie. You're supposed to laugh at my jokes, Millie.
Yes, I am laughing. I agree. I think that I think it's demons. I think there is a supernatural component that's out there, and it's always out there. And I think it's like angels in the fact that I don't know that they always want to be, when they're exposed, I don't know that that's something they want. I think maybe the same thing goes for the demons. They maybe get exposed when they don't want, or maybe they get into something that gets shot down, or just it's not going to happen. So I believe that. I used to have some question, but I go by my Bible, and it says in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and he didn't say and Venus and Mars and this other planet. So
you just took the words right out of my mouth. I said that in our Bible study when we were talking about creation. There's no other planet mentioned in the Bible in the sense of dealing with its content. It mentions the stars, the sun, and the moon, and the planetary bodies, the heavens. You're right, and the heavens include planets. But the Bible's not the story of Jupiter and Mars, is it?
No, absolutely not. And the creation story in 6 days and the seventh rest, there's nothing about that in there. I just completed a year study, and that was something we really talked about, and I did a lot of research on. And I just, somebody in my class said, is there maybe in the beginning God created the heavens and Nippo, this other planet, and there's the Bible? And I said, no, I do not believe that. I believe God, lays out his plan and his work and what he expects of us. And if it was more inclusive than what he put, I think we would know about it. I don't think he's a God of secrets.
I'll agree with that. I will say this, and I'll just give you my take on all this, and we can banter it back a little bit here for a minute. Look, the Bible is absolute truth from Genesis to Revelation, but it is not filled with every dot and detail of what went on in the past. There's a lot of things that it leaves unspoken. I believe what's happening. I do believe that these are demon spirits, that these are demon apparitions, fallen angels, whatever you want to call them. because the Bible is clear that a third of the angels went with Lucifer in that first rebellion that happened in the dateless past. And I could do a Bible lesson right here on it. I won't, but I will say this. I think what's happened, there has been so much occultism and so much witchcraft and so much demon worship in this country. It has opened the door to us. And Leslie, all these things these people are seeing, they may not even realize it's in the spirit realm. These are spirits that they're seeing.
Right.
And whenever a nation opens the door to demonic activity like this one has over the last decade, 2 decades, it basically thins the veil between the natural realm and the spiritual realm, a realm that God has forbidden mankind to look into. God forbids us to go into the occult. He forbids us to communicate with the dead. He forbids us to practice witchcraft. He forbids us from channeling after spirits and conjuring up demons and things like that. It's just look what happened to Saul. Saul did it, and Saul died before the Lord because of it. But I do believe that people are seeing something. And if they are seeing something, again, I think that the overall turn of the earth right now, the way we're in the last days, is that more and more of this is going to happen. And if you look at the people that are seeing them, and you listen to them, they're not believers. They're not believers in Jesus. Most of them are not. Most of them are people that have weird views of life, and they're not born again. And again, you start dealing with that realm, and you're going to experience demonic apparitions. You're going to experience demonic
Absolutely.
Spirits. That's why God told us to leave it alone. And no child of God should be messing with that realm.
No, I mean, it started, in the 60s and the 70s with Ouija boards and all of this white witch, good witch stuff, and just all those kinds of things. And I think a turning point, I can't even remember who the author was. I was reading a book about this, and how when that first gay bar was established in New York City in, 1969, something like that, very late 60s, and the pride and all that, it kind of opened the door to all of this too, because we started normalizing what we know is not normal. And to put it as simply as possible, when you do that, when you normalize things that aren't normal, then you open up yourself, your family, your beliefs, your thoughts to evil.
You do.
I mean, we know that. It's in the Bible. God tells us that. And I think it's just now coming to fruition, talking about last days. Do we have 100 years, 1,000 years, or 1 year before he comes back? We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
But we do know when things started. We do know when things became acceptable. The time of love and free love and spirit. And that was kind of the beginning of the end of the godliness of America. And it's taken 50 years, but it's getting there. And in the last 10 years, the pace with which we've seen this evil has probably gone up 50 times, maybe more than that. You open that door just a crack, and it's really easy to push it all the way open. And that's what we've done with this country.
Well, let me just say this. And to Burchett's credit, and I'm going to say this, and this is not contradicting what I said before. I do believe that there have probably been incidents in our nation's past that they have seen things that they've classified. I believe it's nothing inherently wrong with letting the public know what they did see, and leave it to the public to decide whether they want to believe that or not. Now, having said that, with this society that we've got, and the craziness and the cray-crays, and I'll say that with all due respect, maybe that's not such a good idea, because the conspiracy theorists have been sort of quiet. The Q stuff has went away for a while, and all this is going to do is open that's all X would be dedicated to, and Telegram and Facebook for the next 10 years is that little green men existed when the Bible God didn't say he created little green men. It just said he created man, did he not?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it will help people try to seek out truth. I don't know. I'm like you. I kind of just think, let us decide. There will people that will go off the rails with it, and that is their prerogative. And I think we just have to share what we know to be true with other believers and other people, that, that is not biblical. That is not what God says about creation. I know we just have no concept of time or all of his unbelievable creations. And is there something we don't know because it would blow our mind or we wouldn't get it? Of course. Is this one of those things? I personally don't think so.
I don't either. I think that it's like the JFK files. I think that all these people clamoring that they want the JFK files open, and I saw somebody say, well, our generation needs to know. Well, go find a history book. Go back. If you want to go investigate, waste your time on what happened to JFK, then go investigate it. Waste your time doing it. It's like the Epstein stuff. Epstein's dead. JFK's dead. Little green men are spirit beings or demons. Why you want and care about what's going on in the demon realm? You need to be worried about what's going on in the God realm. You better be more worried about your soul, and you better be worried about your spirit and your families tonight and our country. These are the things that are important to me. And again, if you want to get all tizzy up about this and all this and that and get triggered, then have at it. Enjoy your time of triggering. I swear people get triggered over a ham sandwich these days, and
they do.
Everything is a trigger, and everything has prompted people to just go off on these tangents and go off on these things. And if that's important to you out there, Chris tips my hat to you and says, enjoy. It's not important to me, Leslie. It's just not. We've got more. There's more important spiritual things that we are facing in this country that go beyond the realm of the UFO. I'll just leave it.
And maybe it's part of an enlightenment that he needs Christians to be able to express what they think is happening, and this will wake up some people to the fact that there is a spiritual realm, and they better be on the right side of it with Jesus. I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts like that is this just one more thing that God is revealing to us to help us understand the spiritual realm? I don't know. But I say release it. I'm with you. Let people figure it out.
See what's in the files. Yeah, just see what's in the files. I don't think it hurts nothing. I don't think it hurts nothing to release JFK. Release the Epstein. I mean, Pam Bondi released thousands and thousands of Epstein files already, Leslie, and nobody found anything. Nobody found anything, and all these people that claim they do are lying. Massey is lying. Do you not believe that if he had something to burn Trump with, that he would have already done it? He's out there.
Course.
He's out there Costa Ricaing with his little mistress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and his little buddy, and then playing this high road that he's got some major secret that he's going to reveal before he leaves Congress. That's the biggest hypocrite fraud in the history of hypocrite frauds of Congress and the entire universe. And I'm telling you, it don't faze me. It don't move me.
Sour grapes.
I wouldn't even believe him if he said the sky is blue. I'd go outside and look, because I don't believe him. I don't believe
he's a weird dude anyway. I don't know if you've looked into his background, but he basically lives off the grid. He and his wife did. I know she passed a couple of years ago from cancer, but they're very I don't know, live off the land kind of mentality. And that's all good and fine. I don't think you make the best decisions about life choices then. No. And I want to reevaluate you. I want to see if you're really the person we want to represent our country. So that's all I'm going to say about that. To each his own.
We've had some nutcases in Congress, have we not?
We have.
What is going on with Congress and these nut jobs that are running our nation? Where have we gotten to, buddy?
There's so many now. If I had told you 5 years ago that the most normal person on the other side of the aisle was John Fetterman, you would have laughed in my face, and you would have done a 99% bet I was wrong.
I'd taken that bet. Yeah, I would have bet. I'd have bet against you on that. I would have.
Absolutely. Well, I would have bet against myself. So, you know, where are we that a pretty liberal guy from Pennsylvania gets it? You know, I never would have imagined. And yeah, that's the thing too. A lot of these people have been elected. We need to get Ossoff out of Georgia, and
he's gone.
You think?
Yes.
Did he lose completely?
Okay,
no, I didn't know.
I think that he's going down in the general. I mean, I don't think that his days are numbered. And again, I go back to I'm from Georgia. I'm from Atlanta originally, and I speak to my Georgians. Get yourself to the polls. Christians, get yourself to the polls. Conservatives, stop letting these Democrats bully you. Monitor these elections. If Trump and Thune ain't going to do it, or Thune mainly, Trump's wanting to do it, but if Thune ain't going to do it yourself, citizens. Don't wait on Congress to do it. You can do it. We can pass the Save America Act. We can make sure that mail-in ballots, we can sue. You can sue to make sure that mail-in ballots in your state are not allowed after the day of the election. You can make it hold their feet to the fire that we have an election day, not an election month. If a bunch of ragtag Mississippians, Leslie, can take down Roe v. Wade, you can't tell me that we, the American people, cannot get out there. And if the Congress is not going to do its job, then we do it for them. And we make sure we save America. We make sure that we have election integrity. Chris amen himself on that tonight.
Amen.
All right. We'll talk about these little green men. If you see one out in Oklahoma, you let me know and I'll come shoot it or something.
Well, we have we have a lot of questionable humans, but they're usually not green.
I was going to say,
you know, they may lack teeth and other things, but God love them. We're usually conservative with our pickups. We take ourselves to the polls, and God, you know, thank God.
There is no truth to the rumor that McDonald's an alien. I just want to clear that up tonight. That I'm normal. I'm a human being. I know there's rumors out there contrary to that, but that's fake news. There's no aliens that run the McFiles and the people that do the show every night. It's just me, so you can't blame nobody behind me. It's just me that does this show every night. And but I just want to make sure that aliens are not in control of the McFiles. I want to clear that up. That I will not be in any files that will be released, and that McDonald's is on that list. We got enough crazies running around as it is. We don't need any more aliens running around in the country. Is that right? We got enough illegals doing that.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think, according to Tom Holman himself, you know, they're not deporting fast enough, but they're tying up the courts with all these useless lawsuits to stop deportation. I don't know how you stop that unless it's directly related to a Supreme Court ruling. These people are relentless. They will continue to go ahead and file. I hope that it's concerning enough to these illegals, though, that they are watching and waiting to see what some of these things produce, because they really better start making sure they don't get deported and never get to come back, especially these people with families. And, you know, I don't know. And I don't want any kind of mass forgiveness like we had under Reagan. That was a huge mistake. I'm sorry that ever happened. It opened the door to what's happening now. I don't want that. And I don't know. I just hope that's not ongoing. I wish it would run faster. And I know they're all doing everything they can.
Yeah. Well, I do want to ask you a question. Next time I get you on, we may have you back tomorrow night on this election, but next time we do a show, what is your feeling? And we'll move on to Iran and wrap this up after this, but what is your feeling about these 12 scientists that have been found dead? You got any theory about what has happened there? That is a weird story that they found the body of another one that's been missing for 2 years, 56-year-old woman. And she was, again, part of this they're not really tied to a group, but they all worked on high level nuclear secret material, and they're all coming up dead. That's out of a movie.
It's not a coincidence.
That's out of a movie, isn't it?
Absolutely. There is something going on. Is it our government? Is it another government? Is it, we know what's going on, but not really. I don't know. There is definitely something, though. There is something that's happening. What do these people know that no one else knows? I guess that would be the question of the day. Who knows? I will be anxious to see how this unfolds. It's not a coincidence. Coincidence is 3. We're talking 12. What is it they were all working on and hiding? I hope some great investigative journalist really goes after this. Of course, they may end up dead too if they discover anything. But
should the FBI look into it? I think Patel should look into it.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, I mean, I believe there's enough evidence to open all kinds of investigations in different, departments. I hope this is what's going to happen. I can't believe the families aren't out there. Where are the families of these people?
It's a great question.
It's like, why are we not hearing from them? And in fact, a few people are even taking up for them. No, she was on a high level job and she could have been suicidal because 2 years before she said, she was depressed. So I'm like, why are these families not on Pennsylvania Avenue demanding that Donald Trump do something to help them? It doesn't make sense to me in that regard. So what am I missing?
I don't know. I don't know what you're missing because I'm missing the same thing you are, honestly. Listen, final little segment here. Breaking news tonight. President Trump, there is a leaked report, and it's from Axios, so take this as a grain of salt, that him and Bibi Netanyahu, and we're going to take this up with James Akers tomorrow night, our former CIA buddy, but there is rumors that him and Bibi had a heated exchange today by telephone, and he literally used the F word at Bibi. He said, "Are you effing crazy?" And basically telling Bibi that he's messing his peace deal up with Iran because the Israelis basically are going into southern Lebanon and going into Beirut and addressing a Hezbollah terrorist group, Leslie, that despite a ceasefire, sent over 100 rockets into northern Israel last night. Bibi is basically selling the president in a kind way. Our situation with Hezbollah is not tied to the Iranian ceasefire. They're trying to kill us. They're shooting rockets. And I'm going to ask you a question that I would ask President Trump, and I love President Trump. I am absolutely, and again, this is just based upon if this is true, because I will just preface this statement. We don't even know if this actually happened. This could be a left-wing media try to drive a wedge between him and Bibi. But evidently there was something that happened because Trump was out there tweeting tonight on Truth Social about he had a conversation with Bibi and that the Israelis have agreed to not attack Hezbollah all of a sudden. Well, this is what I would ask President Trump. And I'll ask you this. If the Mexican cartels in Mexico tonight were to start launching 100 rockets into southern Texas and southern New Mexico, southern Arizona, and let's just say that Israel and the United States, that Israel was at war with Mexico, okay? And Israel was trying to get a peace deal in place with Mexico. And America decided, you're not going to shoot those rockets. And we started bombing Mexico. Do you think Trump would like it if Bibi got on the phone with him and said, what do you think Trump would tell Bibi? If Bibi told Trump, you don't need to be shooting at those cartels because we're working on a business deal with Mexico. Trump would tell Bibi to do something because Trump evidently is still dropping the F-bombs, okay?
Yeah.
He don't care.
Yeah.
He wouldn't put up with that for a second. But why do we require Israel to do the same thing, Leslie? Because it's their border. Trump's not over there. And I love Trump. I understand what he's doing with Iran. You can't trust Iran. You can't trust these mullahs. You can't trust Hamas. You can't trust Hezbollah. You remove them like a cancer from this earth, and you let Israel do its job. I'm not screaming at you, but I'm screaming at this camera.
That was the first thing that crossed my mind when I heard about the conversation. I thought, where does this fit into the big puzzle? Is this really relevant to what we're doing and what they're doing to protect? I understand how the two can be intertwined because of Hamas and Hezbollah and everything like that. They're all part of a cancer. But that is not our backyard. Let's worry about what we've got going on here. I think the longer this war goes on, the more, I don't know. I think it's losing support. I'm not losing support for it, but I think many people are. They tie the gas prices directly to the war. Nothing. I bet you 95% of the, especially uneducated voters. And is it caused by the Iranian situation? Of course, part of it is.
Well,
the Strait of Hormuz is shut down. Of course it is.
But let me say this. I'm not even losing support for the war. What I am losing support for is how we're fighting the war. Giving them 6 months, giving them 6 weeks, basically tiptoeing around playing footsies with them under the table. And doing this crap,
like
it's frustrating me beyond knowing.
I don't like it.
We had them on the ropes. We had them on the rope. And Obama did it, and Trump is doing the same thing Obama did in a way. We have them on the ropes. We could destroy that country in a day. I don't care if we have to start over there. Do it. Get rid of the mullahs. But stop putting American lives in danger and Israel's peril. Israel's in peril because of this.
I know.
And I don't care about I don't care if Axios was right or wrong. It's likely that somebody leaked something that they shouldn't have leaked. And if Trump wants to talk to Bibi that way, that's his business. Bibi's his only friend over there in the Middle East. I hope Trump understands that tonight. I hope Trump does not believe that the Saudis are his friend, or Qatar, or UAE, or Jordan, or Iran, or Iraq, or anybody else. Because they don't care about us.
No. And their edict, their goal is to kill the infidels.
Yes.
And we don't seem to understand that. That is not the relationship that Jews and Christians have. We have the same foundation of beliefs, values, understanding. I'd like to think Trump is so much smarter than that, and he knows that. I'm assuming we don't know the whole dynamics of that conversation, but I'm with you. I want to wrap this war up. I think it's going to, if it goes on much longer, not only the gas prices, inflation did go up pretty considerably this last month. Is that because of gas? Probably. But, we are shooting ourselves in the foot. And like you said, we're putting American lives at risk. Why are we doing that? I don't want to do that. And I think Trump has other ways to do it.
And I hear, and I saw it all over X tonight. Well, Trump's the 3D. I heard this during the Q years. Well, Trump's playing 3D chess. Okay, well, if you're playing 3D chess, we play to win. I got a dear friend, James Akers. We had a good time with him this weekend, and we talked. James is a Vietnam veteran, and while we were having breakfast with him Saturday morning, him and his lovely wife, there were several Vietnam vets that came into the little restaurant we was at, and they got to talking in this little hub in southern Ohio where a lot of veterans come to eat breakfast, and many of them had their Vietnam hats on, and we told him thank you for the service. And, I was sitting there watching James, and we talked about, I was listening to some of his stories that he was sharing with his fellow veterans. And Leslie, Vietnam should be a lesson to us. And I'm not trying to liken Iran to Vietnam, but the principle is the same. We lost that war because we didn't fight the war. If you're going to declare war, I know we've not declared war on Iran, but in a way we have. If you're going to do something, do it right. Stop this political jargon, and don't sell your only friend in the Middle East down the toilet, and don't be cussing Israel. The people that Trump should be cussing are those mullahs. You understand?
I know.
That's what bothers me with him sometimes.
Yeah.
Israel's not the enemy here. Israel's not the problem.
No.
No, Iran's the problem. Deal with the problem and let Israel do their job.
I have to believe that Trump knows that. I hope I'm right. But I'm with you. I want this to. I don't trust any of them, and I certainly don't trust Iran. Do you trust anything that comes out of there? I mean, that's why I think we're going to still end up in the same place after 6 months, because we're going to have to destroy them, because they would rather die than give in. And we need to understand that and take more aggressive action and take care of the problem. It was tough. It's been going on 50 years. Let's do it. You committed to doing this. Let's do it. But I don't like all these extensions. I find it makes him look not flaky, but indecisive. And I don't think people, they're tired of that. It's crying wolf one too many times.
Well,
and I'm tired of that.
I'll say this, what James Aker said the other night. Every time the United States has meddled in the Middle East, we've always lost. We've always come out on the bad end of the stick. And when you look at other nations, look at what happened with Russia and Afghanistan back in the 1980s. You look at every nation that has tried to go over their nation build, including us. We should have learned our lesson from Iraq. And again, I'm okay. And I want to make it clear to my audience, because I know there's some Trumpites out there that, well, Chris is turning on President Trump. Don't you count on it, and don't be a fool thinking it, because I'm not. I love President Trump. I support what he's doing. But, and again, I'm not saying this Axios report is accurate or not, because it's Axios. But even if it's right, my statement to President Trump would be tonight, the one you need to be using the F-bomb to, the one that's effing crazy, is that mullah over there that you just described, Leslie, that has got a suicide pact and a death pact and a death cult that is willing to blow their country up and kill 42,000 people of their own people. That's the one that's effing crazy. Not Bibi Netanyahu trying to keep his country safe. And he's got a right to defend Israel, just like we've got a right to defend America. And I love President Trump, but Israel is not our 51st state. It's a sovereign state. And I stand with Bibi on this. Go clean it out. Get rid of the problem. I'm okay with that. And we don't need to be chastising him over it.
I agree. And I'll, again, that can be such a left-wing rag. Who knows what really happened, everything that's happening. We just have to take that with a grain of salt. But I think the truth will come out. I need somebody to put, and think about Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and all of these great, I consider them wise men, are giving him direction. Let's pray that he is listening to that and understanding the ramifications for this country, for these elections, for the people, for our pocketbooks, for our grocery bills. I hope he gets that. Oh my God, I just sounded so elderly, like my grandmother. I said pocketbook. How scary is that? Oh man. I'm getting there. So, yeah, I think, it's not just about Iran anymore, is it? It's about us too, as Americans.
Well, it is, Leslie. And again, I understood, and I'm with President Trump. Look, I understand why he's doing this. And I heard a gentleman tonight, he maybe was on Jesse's program, maybe not. I don't know where he was, but he made the statement, and it's how I feel. I think most Americans that understand what he's trying to do in Iran and keep them from getting a bomb, we can handle the higher gas prices. If it means that we keep our country free, a little pain at the pump is a small price to pay to keep a fascist, crazy, apocalyptic, nut job regime with its hands off a bomb. I hate to tell President Trump, he's going to have to go back in there militarily. Whether he wants to or not, he cannot trust these mullahs. And even if, and it's like I heard even Holman tonight say it and Keene say it, all Iran's doing is pushing the bar down,
buying time, buying time.
And even if it's 2 years, 2 years to the Muslims or nothing, they'll wait us out longer. They've waited us out longer to do certain things, and they're thinking we're going to get a Biden in office over there. We're going to get another Obama, and they'll just unravel everything Trump's done. So let's just play hardball. And if I'm Trump,
absolutely,
if you're serious about this, be serious and get it done, and stop playing foot with them. Stop doing that, because I think that's what's frustrating people. It's frustrating me. It's not that I'm against what he's doing, but just do it. Just do it.
Right. Well, don't be wishy-washy.
Don't be wishy-washy.
I'm sick of this back and forth. I think that probably hurts his credibility and the administration's more than anything right now. I mean, people have complaints about the economy, but more importantly, I think people see this as a huge weakness, and that is not who Trump is. So this, I have to say, this really surprises me that he would drag it out like this. And I've issued a 2-week stay, and I've issued a 6-week stay, and people don't want to hear that. That sounds like Biden. That sounds like some Democrat kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
And that's not who he is. So, why is he doing that? I don't know. Rumor was that they couldn't even get 3 or 4 leaders together to put a consensus together. But these people, they don't care if they die. They don't care if their people die. It's about their faith, their psychotic craziness, and they're never going to give that up. We're not going to change that. We're not going to change that.
I'll agree, bud. But it's good stuff tonight. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up with these folks and ask some questions of them.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks
so
for
grateful.
having me.
Hey, I want to keep you on the phone just for a second. I want to read a couple of comments to you and get your take on it. Let me get my glasses here so I can see. But one of the comments says that that Trump doesn't have a plan, and that they are hearing that he doesn't have a plan. I don't agree with that fully. I think he does have a plan. I think that what's happening though is that he is trying to build a legacy and get a legacy built instead of doing what's right. That to me is what's getting in the way of this, I believe. What's your take on that? I think he's got a plan, but I don't know if he has the...
Yeah, I think he does have a plan. I'm wondering if his inner cabinet is saying that's too aggressive, or that's not aggressive enough, or what. The legacy thing, yes, he, like every other president, is a narcissist. And we, I think all of us have a little bit of that in us if we're successful, or we try and we fail and we get back up. But I hope it's not the legacy. I hope I don't see him starting something without a plan. Now, my question is, did the plan change? Did he think they were going to roll over and this was going to be over in a week? That I believe. That's my concern.
That I believe. I think that is some of it. I do. And I think that I saw something about this war was supposed to be over in 5 weeks, and I think that's what I think that's what he believed. I think that he thought the Iranians were going to, when they bombed the you-know-what out of them, and I think he thought this last summer. I think that he thought when he went in there that they would get the message like Syria got it back in 2017 or 2018 when he did that to Syria with about the nerve gas. I think he thought the Iranians were going to do the same thing, and he's not dealing with the Syrians. He's dealing with a unique entity in the Middle East that is unlike any. Look, that Persian Empire, Leslie, has been on this earth for nearly 4,000 years, my friend. It's not just, this is these are ancient spirits. These are ancient principalities that are over that region of the world. And look, I love President Trump so much. I appreciate everything that he's done for faith. I appreciate everything he's doing his best to keep America free of evil and free of lawlessness. But I think that, as James Akers says, we do not understand the dynamics of the Middle East. No president has understood it, and I don't think Trump understands it, not fully. And it's it's a complicated cauldron. And if we're going to get ourselves involved in it, I'll agree
Do
with
it
Pat
to
and
win it.
Deb's go do it to win
Yeah.
it, and I will agree with Pat and Deb. They've got to have a plan to win it, not just the assumption that our enemy is going to roll over. This one's not going to roll over. This one's not going to roll over. So.
And that may be the fly in the ointment. It might be that he really did think this was going to be much less involved, and pushing it from 5 weeks to 2 months to 3 months. I don't think he likes doing that, but he might not really feel like he can do anything else at this point. I don't know. The plans may have changed,
Maybe
and
so.
He's always got
Maybe
a backup. So. Let's pray that he does.
Well, I still believe that whether he delays this or goes now, it's inevitable. I say it's inevitable.
I do think that too.
I think
it's inevitable.
That we're going to wind up with another conflict on our hands. And what's going to happen the next time is that then you start having to get the Arab countries on board. And I think the longer this draws out, the less likely the Saudis and the UAEs and the Omans and the Qataris are going to sign off like they did before, even though Iran is a bitter enemy of theirs, and even though they've paid a price for it. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and the enemy of the Middle East tonight, sadly, it's not Iran. To many of them, the enemy of my enemy is Israel.
Right,
Israel's
exactly.
the enemy, and they will friend Iran over time. And if I put it like this, I do believe this: if Saudi Arabia is given a choice, who do you hate the worst, Iran or Israel?
They're going to say Israel every time.
Every time.
And
I do people need to realize that. And I don't care what their bluster is and what they're saying publicly. Deep down in their heart, they're run by the same religion that Iran is. It's just a different sect of it.
Right.
They both hate Israel with a passion. And people need to remember that and never forget that when you're talking about the Middle East. That's
absolutely true. Absolutely.
Did I get something actually right? Did I actually say something that was right? Good Lord. I'm going to faint. I'm going to faint. I'm going to have a big one.
The golf clap. I'm doing the golf clap for you right now. The baby golf clap, quietly, but great job.
Thank you, dear. Well, listen, we're gonna get together and get this show going, and I've enjoyed this tonight. I really have. It's been good stuff.
Me too.
I'll probably see you tomorrow night. We'll get the election results. Get some rest and have a good night. Thank you for being with me.
You too. Thank you.
Leslie Milwee, everybody, put some fire in that house. That was good tonight. Grateful for her, and I'm going to read some of your comments. I'm going to play a couple of videos, though, while I've got you here tonight. And we're going to, let me do this real quick. Let me sort this by date modified so I can get things like I need them to be. This is Chris's face most of the time when I'm looking at X every day and reading the stuff I read on the internet. That's me right there, except I have more hair than Picard does. But that's what people probably say about my show every night. It's what my family says. It's what my family says about the McFiles. It's what Chris says. That's what Chris says. But here is, I'm not a fan of Bannon, but he interviewed Tina Peters tonight. I want you to listen to what she had to say about this getting out of prison today. I am grateful that she's gone out of prison. And I pray that Colorado Secretary of State and the Colorado Attorney General are put in jail. And I salute to the Colorado governor, even though he's a Dem. He saw the light, and he basically went out and said she did not commit voter fraud. It took some guts to do it because his left-wing buddies are trying to basically primary him now and get rid of him. He did the right thing. Here's Tina Peters.
Tina, tell us what's it like to be finally a free woman.
Steve, I'm not even sure yet. After 606 days in prison, it's been quite the ordeal. But I really want to thank God for His faithfulness and getting me through it. And it's been, I think, probably for me, Steve, to impress upon every person out there how hard it is to lose your liberty, how easy it is to lose your liberty, but how hard it is to endure it. And, and I'm so grateful to the supporters out there that have stood with me. My close circle, Marcy, my best friend, who I called every day. After they kept putting me in the hole, she made me promise to call her in the morning and at night every day. So people that wanted to get me a message could always reach her. And of course, with Apollo and Jared and Barbara and, the other ones that have stood by me, and especially my attorneys. John Case has visited me almost every week while I was in prison. And then the financial support. I still have a fight to go. I still, even though Governor Polis reduced my sentence from 9 years to 4.5 years, I still have a fight to clear my name and bring out the truth of why they came after me the way they did. So it's still a long road. I'm going to spend the next few weeks regaining my health, and just being with loved ones and family, and it's a miracle. It really is for Jared Polis. He pardoned 35 people and he gave clemency to 9, and I was one of the 9. And you see the horrible media and the haters that don't go after murderers and people like that he chose to pardon, but they go after me. So there is a concern there for my well-being and my safety. But I'm just very, very grateful to all of you. Thank you, Steve, for standing through with me through all of this.
And that's Tina Peters tonight on the Steve Bannon Show. No fan of Steve Bannon, but that was the only one that she went and did an interview with today. So we had to use that clip, but good to hear that she's out. The story to me, though, is not Tina Peters. The story to me, even though it is Tina Peters, is this right here. And this is the Secretary of State. She looks like a 20-year-old, and that's another thing I'll mention. Gina Griswold, her office accidentally leaked the passwords to 2024 election voting machines and didn't tell anyone for 6 months. But she did too. She helped prosecute Gold Star mom Tina Peters for exposing Democrat election fraud, and now she may be criminally investigated, as she needs to be, and with the feds. And I hope that she pays the ultimate price, I do, of justice for what she did. This is the chart. I want to show you this. This is from Mark Levin tonight, and that map, I'm going to get my little whiteboard out here a minute, and then I'm going to take your questions, folks. I'm not going nowhere, so stay with us. If you got a question, we're going to take your question. When we was in Israel, we were all around the Sea of Tiberias, and this is the Galilee area. There's Nazareth. That was the first stop we made, and we visited up in here, the Golan Heights. We went to a mountain in this area, and this all right here, folks, every bit of this are areas that the Hezbollah rockets found last night. They sent over 100 into Israel. And Mark Levin says, I thought the Saudis assured us that Hezbollah would stop firing missiles. You mean we can't trust them? And no, we can't. And this was an hour after Trump said that he spoke to Hezbollah today. This happened just within the last 4 hours. They agreed to stop firing. They launched a massive barrage of rockets at Israeli civilians. Unbelievable. And Israel will be blamed for this. And if that phone call from Axios is correct, that's exactly what Trump did. He blamed Bibi for the tension and the issue with Hezbollah. Well, I'm just a South Georgia boy. That don't look like that Israel was shooting rockets into Hezbollah. That's the land of Israel. Israel didn't shoot them themselves. that came from Hezbollah. And Israel has a right to defend itself. Please understand that tonight, like any sovereign nation does. And I can guarantee you 10 million%, folks, Donald John Trump would not put up with this from another entity on this land. And if he did, he should be impeached. If any president allowed those kind of rockets to hit us and not defend our country from them and not go after the perpetrator for doing it, that individual should be impeached for not upholding his constitutional right to protect us from all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's number one job. When that president lays his hand on a Bible, at least the ones that do, Obama didn't even do that. That's his first oath of office, is to protect our country from enemies, foreign and domestic. So when you go to bed tonight and you're thinking, well, I'm not sure what I think about this Israel thing. I'm not sure what I think if President Trump, what he said about Israel is right or not. Just remember this little map. That's just within the last 4 hours. That's just within the last 4 hours. And so forth. All righty. Now, let's see here. President Trump, one other thing, or a couple of other things here. As many of you may know, today was the official start of Pride Month. I'm going to have a few things to say about that tomorrow night. I'm going to leave this alone tonight. But the Trump administration has officially declined to issue a proclamation recognizing Pride Month for a second year in a row. That, Mr. President, I salute you for. Good. That's all I got to say. It's good. 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 That's how it should be. Let's see here. I mentioned the Colorado Secretary of State, Mike Davis, has just wrote a criminal referral to the DOJ and Hamid Dillon to launch investigations into the mistreatment of Tina Peters into Colorado prison. Now she's released. This includes Secretary of State Gina Griswold. Folks, they need to burn the whole thing down. They need to burn the whole thing down in Colorado. I want to say this to the Californians tonight.
Mail ballots were found burned inside a ballot box in Los Angeles just 2 days before the California primaries. Election officials discovered the damaged ballots and they filed a report with the police department. They say a separate voting center was also vandalized. Investigators are looking into both incidents and are working to identify any voters who have been affected.
Voters that have been affected, they've all been affected. I want to play that again. I meant to say what this was about. They found ballots that were on the street, burned, before the votes even being tallied tomorrow. A lot of this is mail-in. This is why we need to do away with mail-in voting. You can't carry yourself up to the polls, and I'm not talking about the elderly. That's probably less than 2% of the entire voting block. A lot of these people are they're doing this to cheat. You know, if you can't get yourself up to the voting poll to vote, your vote just don't count. I'm just talking straight talk to you tonight. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's about like the argument about that making somebody show an ID and get a driver's license is racist because black people can't afford a driver's license. That's the most racist comment I've ever heard in my life. It comes from the left, by the way. No, if you can't go out and get a sorry driver's license, neighbor, and an ID to show it a voting booth, you don't have a right to vote. You shouldn't have a right to vote under our Constitution. I know that's just tough on some of your delicate sensibilities out there, some of you. That's okay. But this is why we don't need mail-in ballots.
By mail ballots were found burned inside a ballot box in Los Angeles. Just 2 days before the California primaries, election officials discovered the damaged ballots and they filed a report with the police department. They say a separate voting center was also vandalized. Investigators are looking into both incidents and are working to identify any voters who have been affected.
Yep. And Californians, listen to me. I love you. Get out there and vote tomorrow night. Get out there and vote. Vote in person. Vote. Lori Mills said it. You've got to go big to stop the rig. You've got to make it so big they can't cheat. You've got to make these margins so big that if there's any integrity in any of these voting booths and places, and we didn't even get to talk about Steve Hilton, you got a governor in Steve Hilton, you need to get behind California. You got a chance to change course. You got a chance to change course. You got a chance to change course. Take it. Take it. Take it. We in the country. I don't live in California, but I sure am pulling for you. I sure am pulling for you. I'm praying for you. We prayed for you tonight. Me and Amy and her family, we had a little prayer meeting in South Dakota by phone tonight. We prayed for the elections. And let me tell you something. We're pulling for you, and we're praying for you. We're praying for you. And we need God's help, but we need your help to go vote. We need your help to go vote and vote Spencer Pratt and vote Steve Hilton and change course. Change course. All righty. Now, I got a few other things I want to do. This is a Spencer Pratt ad. This kid is so good. Roll the tape.
Honey, we need to talk. We saw the things you've been searching online. Spencer Pratt? Really?
In this house, we don't believe in Spencer Pratt. He's MAGA.
What about Spencer Pratt as MAGA?
You know those streets downtown? The ones that are full of piss and shit and homeless people?
Excuse the language.
He wants to clean them up.
And those neighborhoods that burned down? The Palisades? Malibu? He wants to rebuild them.
You know how people inject heroin in front of children at the park? He wants to stop that.
And that's MAGA?
Yes. It's a very dangerous ideology.
If I was that kid, I think I'd divorce my parents. I'd divorce my parents. That's a Spencer Pratt ad. As far as for the little language there, again, we can't censor all videos, but you get the point. You get the point. And the fact of the matter is, folks, that's exactly what's on the streets of LA tonight. That's exactly what's on the streets of LA. Everywhere you go. And nothing but that city. I was watching a video tonight about the fountain up in D.C. That sits near the White House, and people were even Trump's enemies were talking about how clear the material of the fountain was, the cement and the way it looked, the cleanness of it, the graffiti's gone, the semen's gone, the pee is gone, and yes, there was things like that in that thing. It turned into a nasty. I visited D.C. back in January of 25. I went to the Right to Life movement March last year. It's right after Trump took office, and it was a nasty city. It was nasty. Trash everywhere. And Trump in 1 year has cleaned D.C. up because we're celebrating 250 years, and he wants people to come and celebrate it, and he wants it to look good. And the left is upset about that tonight. You've got people on the left saying they're going to bulldoze down the ballroom and bulldoze down everything Trump builds. They're going to tear it down. That's the left, and that's the Dem Party. That's all they want to do is tear something down. Tear statues down. That's destructiveness. That's destruction. That's demonic, folks. And I got to say this tonight. You Christians that go out there and vote for these people, and you Christians that don't vote at all, and by not voting, you're voting for them, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm not going to tell you that's what you do is between you and God, but you should be just plain ashamed of yourself. You're not. You think, well, I don't want to get involved in politics. Well, I tell you what, you don't get in little politics, ma'am. You don't, and sir, and you take your little self-righteous self and stay at home and don't vote. And then when your neighborhood looks like World War III, don't be complaining and going on X and boo-hoo. Hypocrites. 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 That's what they are. I'll tip my hat and amen myself. All right. I got more, but I'm done. Somebody needs to put some fire in that house. You got something to say? A couple of questions. Anything you got to say, you could. It's your turn now. Let me see here. Oh, we got over here in Facebook tonight. Pat, you say, I don't see Trump saying that. I think it's more propaganda. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. We're not sure whether the Axios story is true or not, but he's used the F-bomb before. And it wasn't a leak call. When it was right after this started and he thought he had a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, and Israel went out and did something, he got on the screen with reporters and he said, I don't know what either one of them know what the F they're doing. And he is not one to mince words, and he drops that F-bomb a lot. The way that phone call was presented in Axios, I wouldn't say that it's propaganda automatically. It may have happened. But if it did happen, and I don't trust Axios no more than I can touch this camera right here. I mean, it's right here in front of me. But I will tell you this. He's telling the wrong person that they're effing crazy. Because that's what the content of the call was tonight, that Bibi was crazy for doing the things he's doing with Hezbollah and ruining this ceasefire. Bibi didn't send the rockets into Lebanon first. They sent it into his. And see, this is what frustrates me with all of our government. We expect Israel to tie their hands, take this stuff, take one for the team. And then we put together these false peace treaties and these false agreements. And then when it goes bad, and the only price that we pay for that is a little mockery in our left-wing media. I tell you who pays the price for the failure of these treaties. It's the nation of Israel. Because that's where they live. That is their backyard. By the way, little Bible nugget tonight. Little Bible nugget. This is why the Antichrist will succeed where all other people and all other leaders, including many presidents, have failed. He is going to have the power to make his agreement stick on both sides. And he is going to have the authority to do it, and he's going to have the ability to do it and deceive Israel into believing he's their Antichrist, and their Messiah, I should say. So what you're seeing tonight is a precursor of something that's coming, that there won't be none of this that's going on tonight. He'll be able to do it. And Israel will believe. That's for Bible study sometimes, but just a thought. I wouldn't automatically say it is propaganda. Redora, we're praying for you, Californians. She says, please pray for us out here. We're praying for you. We really are. Pat, good to see y'all tonight. And I'll agree with something you said earlier tonight about the situation out with some of the people. I know that a lot of the people are concerned about Trump's and this plan, and I know that the cost of living and all this is up, and we get that. But and they are stalling. That's what you said earlier, and I do believe that the Iranians are stalling. They've been stalling for a long time. All right, if you got anything in YouTube tonight, I want to read some of Cleo's comments because she has some good ones. No other president has a hope of dealing with the Iranian regime other than Trump. Maybe Rubio, and she's right. She's right about that tonight. Rubio would be the only one that would even come close. Scenic Species says Tina Peters is a brave woman. Yes, she is. Stephen says Trump's number one problem with Iran is a Senate wanting to invoke the War Powers Act, force him to withdraw the military. Well, Stephen, the crazy thing about it is this. The military is not in Iran. They're in the Strait of Hormuz in a blockade. We don't have any troops in Iran. I heard that this morning about the War Powers Act, and that that I hear all the Rand Pauls and all these other senators, we don't want our troops in Iran. Well, there are no troops in Iran. The Gulf of Hormuz is not Iran. The Middle East, there's the waters over there, international waters. Yeah, our Navy's over there, but there are no troops in Iran. There ain't no boots on the ground. I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is right, because the Senate is trying to tie his hands. But that's why all this craziness and all this flippancy and all this flipping out about it is nutty. We don't have troops over there. And he's not planning to send boots on the ground over there, at least now. At least not yet. We're going to talk with James Akers about this more tonight. James, I have a good insight to it. But anyway. Cleo says, get it right rather than rush matches. Then rush is matches his art of the deal style. That's very true. It's very true, buddy. Good to see you tonight. Good to see our dear friend in the house. The FBI is leading a review to check for a connection with the 12 missing scientists. I heard that too, and I meant to say that during Leslie's time. They are investigating that. Cleo also said something. I want to read this. 19th century spiritualism and occult revival in America linked with reports of recurring patterns of non-human entities interacting with humanity. And that is so true. And we're going to talk about the UFO thing a little bit more this week. But she's absolutely right. Folks, that's really what I was trying to say. This whole occult revival, this whole witchcraft revival, this whole New Age revival in our country, all of this stuff is led to open doors. You can call them portals, whatever you want to call them. And somebody asked, was CERN behind this? No, CERN is not behind this. Sin is behind this. Sin is behind this. And disobeying God's law is behind this, because God has forbid man to do the very thing that we're doing as a nation. If I have to say this to you, then I guess I have to say it to you. Ouija boards are evil. Horoscopes are evil. Worshiping the stars, worshiping the dead, talking to the dead, communicating with the dead, conjuring up spirits, casting spells, doing things like that. That's all evil. And it's witchcraft. It's witchcraft. And some of the loudest voices sometimes that are speaking, I don't want to go there. Forget that, what I was about to say. A lot of people don't even realize that they're involved in it. It's a spirit. Witchcraft is a part of the flesh, by the way. But there is a lot of witchcraft over this country. And it's in the highest levels of government. It's in the highest levels of society, or highest levels of the financial markets. It's in the highest levels of the church. And, but Roger, I don't think it's CERN. No, I think it's sin. We've opened those doors. And if you want to call them portals, that's fine. I've heard that term out there. But it's caused a vacuum in the spirit realm. And we're reaping a price for it. And I do believe that people probably are seeing things out there. I don't think it's a great deal of number of people. I know the media and the sensational media and even some sensational senators and representatives want to make you feel like it's a bunch of people. I don't think it's as many as people think. I think that it's going to grow in intensity, though, because we're getting in the end. We're in the end times. But anyway, that's just my opinion. My 2 cents. We're going to talk about this more later this week with some folks. All righty. Any other questions? Any other comments tonight? Good group tonight. I really appreciate y'all being with us. Good stuff. And Leslie was excellent tonight. And Roger says, should Americans be concerned about the large number of data centers being built? They are building one 6 miles from my house. Well, Roger, whenever they're collecting data, we always should be concerned. We should always be concerned. We should always be concerned when they're collecting data. Deb, I'll agree with y'all. This is a mess. This is a mess. Dennis says, I don't like this on and off Iran business, but President Trump has info we don't have. So I will trust him. I believe God put him in office. So I will trust and pray for him. Well, Dennis, we do too. I'm not, the things I'm saying doesn't mean we're not doing that. I trust President Trump. This is not I'm done with President Trump. I hear people throw their hands. I'm not throwing my hands up with him. I'm concerned that he's got the wrong enemy tonight. He's the one he should be cussing out is Iran, not Israel. And the info that he has, then I don't know if it's info. I think it's wishful thinking that he thinks these Iranians are going to bow under this pressure. They may ultimately do it, but I just think they're running out the clock on him. And I heard him tonight say that a little silence won't hurt because Iran says they're not going to talk with us no more. Well, so be it. But I tell you what, after what we've done, if they've not gotten the message yet that we mean business, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. And maybe he's got info, maybe he don't. I don't know. But I understand your point, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I trust him too. I do. And I pray for him. But I think that sometimes he gets frustrated with Israel, and all Israel's doing is defending herself. What does Trump want them to do? If I could ask President Trump one question tonight, what do you expect Israel to do? Do you expect her to trust America, to have her back in the Middle East, when we've never had her back in the Middle East? Israel's got to take care of Israel. You know, it's funny. You know what the hypocrisy of all this is tonight, and I got to quit. The Israel haters, the anti-Semitic tropes of the country tonight, that are always claiming and screaming that Trump has sold America out to Israel, that that Israel has influenced our foreign policy. Well, I tell you what, this busts that up, don't it? This busts that up real good. Because it sure don't sound like Israel's calling the shots. It sounds like Trump's trying to call the shots. It ain't Israel that drug us into this Iran war. Trump asked Israel for her help, and Israel gave it. And that's all I'm saying, Dennis, is I think that we're cussing the wrong person out. We shouldn't be cussing anybody out, but if you're going to cuss somebody out, at least cuss the one that's causing the problem. But anyway, just a bunch of hypocrites. It's what politics do. It's what politics does to you. It's what politics does to you. Deb, you say they're making us look weak. I'm going to disagree with that a little bit. It's not that we're looking weak. I just think that that's the argument of the left. That's what the left is out there saying. The left wouldn't lift a finger to go and help Trump. And he even tweeted this out tonight on True Social. He said if he would just get a little bit of help from the right, if he just get a little bit of help from the Congress and a little bit of help from those that are, instead of helping him, are out there troping and running it down, that we could be very much further in solving this issue. And I agree with that. But the left is saying that tonight, that he's weak. No, he's not. No, he has dealt with Iran in a way to show them that he's willing to send our Air Force over there and bomb them into the Mediterranean if they don't straighten out. No, I don't think it makes us look weak. What it does do, though, when we do these public little things, and I think that's what the Axios thing, that was the goal of leaking that phone call tonight, if it was actually a phone call that took place. And I'm sure President Trump will chime in on this tomorrow or this week. I don't doubt a bit Trump's going to chime in on the call with Bibi. But regardless, they are trying to drive a wedge, and they are the elites and the rhinos and the Dems and the people that would like to see Israel go away. They're trying to drive a wedge between Israel and the United States of America. That's the issue. I don't think it makes them look weak. No, I think that the Iranians, though, are a little bit more formidable than he thought. Because I will agree with Leslie. He thought they were going to bow down under this pressure, and they've shown him they're not going to do that. And now they're using deception. And I'm going to go out on this. It's a tenet of Islam that when your enemy is stronger than you, you use manipulation against your enemy, and you cause your enemy to come down to your level. And then when your enemy is as weak as you destroy your enemy. That is a tenet of Islam. That's what Muhammad did with his enemies. And you do subterfuge. In other words, you lie and you deceive and you sort of do a do-si-dope, as Muhammad Ali used to say, the late Muhammad Ali. You sort of do a little sidestep and, maneuver and manipulate and lie. And that's what Iran's doing. This is a lethal enemy. It's a lethal enemy. Dennis, to your point, we need to pray because this is a serious matter. And I don't think Trump cares, Deb, honestly. Even if they are making us look weak, I don't think Trump cares. I think we've got the power to take care of this if we'll use it. I'll just leave it at that. All righty. Listen, I'm done tonight. We've had a good start to the week. Monday night, Mayhem was good with Leslie Bilby. Did you enjoy her tonight? Put some fire in that house. I hope you enjoyed the show. Listen, I'll see you back here tomorrow night, probably around 9:30, 10, same time. And we're going to deal with the elections. We'll have the election results coming in from California around 11 tomorrow night, so it may even be later. But we'll have James Akers tomorrow night, and we've got some other guests. Rolando Rodriguez may be with me Thursday night, and some other folks. We hope to get Lori Mills in here to talk about California and some other things. But we love you all tonight. Thank you all for being with us, and God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. And I will see you back here in the morning on the study on our face side, and then back here on the news side tomorrow night with election results from California and other things. And until then, have a good night, everybody. Be blessed. Good night.